Factions are probably some of the best quest lines in any Bethesda game, but now we have a mod from Kinggath Creations adds a brand new faction to Starfield, as well as some new gameplay mechanics, which might be what you're looking for in this game. Hey everyone, it's Matt aka Tech Ranger, and in this video I wanted to go over what the mod exactly is, what you're going to be doing, as well as share my thoughts, and by the end of the video you should get a pretty good idea whether or not this mod is for you. If this video helped you out at all, or if you enjoyed it, leave a like down below and comment down below if you have any questions. But for right now, let's take a look at Watchtower Orbital Strike Fleet Command from Kinggath Creations for Starfield. Watchtower is actually the name of the faction in this creation. They aren't really the good guys. They don't really like what the Starborn are up to, and because you're working with Constellation, you're kind of public enemy number one. But lucky for you, that means you have something else to do in Starfield, and those new game mechanics, they're kind of a play on stuff that's already in the game. So a lot of ship combat, but you're going to have some help in terms of your own fleet. And that fleet is comprised of your crew members that you've already picked up throughout the storyline in Starfield, and that crew will actually pilot and work on the ships that you've gathered along the way. There's new gear to collect, as well as the other new feature in this creation, which are sky drops. To use these, you'll need to buy these flares, or you can craft them at an industrial workbench. These are like a special type of grenade. You can throw one, and depending on what your ship is actually outfitted with in your fleet, you can get a turret or a mortar strike coming down from the sky. There's actually a lot of different types of these, and you can string them together because whenever you throw one of these beacons, it'll actually bring up a menu and ask you which one that you want to use. And then you just throw it like a regular grenade. To be able to do all that though, there's a big emphasis on ship combat in this creation. A little bit in terms of shipbuilding as well, because you have to fit these sky drops on your ship. So if you're not a fan of those two things, this might not be the one for you, but I will say it is really cool to have something that's persistent, that kind of follows you around in the story. And with this one, I started playing and all of a sudden it was like 4 hours later. That type of persistence is like McLaren's Outfitters, the other Kinggath creation that was put out. That one was half the price, but also smaller in scale, but still valuable. The Watchtower creation is 1,000 creation credits, or about $10 USD. Bundles are now a thing though, so I would probably check to see if their one is still available for both of Kinggath's creations so far, even if you already own McLaren's. In this next section, if you want to see what you're going to be doing, there'll be light story spoilers ahead, but I won't touch on anything too specific. I just want to introduce you to the characters, how you're going to start the mod, and what the initial gameplay loop is. To get things going with Watchtower, you first want to be at least level 15. That will trigger an event to happen next time you go to orbit. If there is another random event that happens though, that will cancel out the Watchtower call that you should receive. I actually had that happen, so I just traveled to another system and that started the quest. This is going to be your first introduction to Watchtower, and through a turn of events, you'll be introduced to Stardock and Torin, who is going to guide you through what there is to do in the Watchtower creation. After some exposition, it's time for your first mission, and this is where you're going to be introduced to one of the mechanics of the creation. Those are the sky drops. As touched on earlier, there are some different types of these, but you only have one to start. The first one you do have access to is a missile strike though, so don't get too close. Take out the mech with the skydrop, and don't forget about these Watchtower components on it. Those will be used for actually restocking your skydrops. This base where you're at is actually a listening post for Watchtower, and this is one of the main things in this creation that you do. These listening posts are like the eyes and ears along with the arrays for Watchtower, and you'll also find some Watchtower intel which you can turn in. Harper's going to feed you more information on where to find more of these Watchtower listening posts and arrays. Then you'll meet Gren, who will show you that you can create a fleet with those extra ships that you have, and you can assign any extra crew to one of those ships, outfit those ships with skydrops, and then those can be used basically like backup. And you can use this anywhere, but on the first listening post, you're going to need to find these little power bricks to open this locked door. These will generally be nearby and can vary depending on the listening post type that you get. Harper can actually find intel where these posts are if you pay her, as well as just bringing her intel. If you pay her to find it, you can kind of choose how difficult some of these are, and if you just find intel, you'll get kind of a random version, and the difficulty or how big this listening post is can vary. And for most, usually there's a mech roaming around too, so there's that, and you can use your sky drops. There's a locked door with a room in each listening post that you need to unlock, so power open that door, grab the components, and then it's off to the races. I've seen some that don't actually require a power brick, it might just be a computer. There might also be another way inside the facility to get to that computer. I lay all that out because you're going to be doing this a lot in order to upgrade everything. Find the array, start attacking it, and then the Watchtower drones will show up and try to take you out. Everything you grab from the array, components, intel, the computer cores, it all feeds into progressing with the characters that you met. So Harper, intel, you give that to her, she finds new listening posts, or go, then you find the array. Gren can increase the size of your fleet as well as install some new sky drops, and there's a lot of really cool ones. You'll end up finding a lot of computer cores out just destroying arrays, but then also at these listening posts. Or if you do attack a major array, you'll be taking out a lot of Watchtower ships, and they might also carry computer cores. There are types of arrays, so minor arrays are basically small satellites that will prompt those Watchtower drone ships to show up, and the major arrays are ones that are just heavily guarded by Watchtower drones and other ships. Going for minor arrays first will weaken the defenses of the major one, or you can just go right for it. Major arrays are tough though, and there's always ships that keep showing up to the encounter, so I definitely recommend upgrading the fleet a little bit before that. And if you run out of things to spend computer cores with at Gren, there's also a doctor that can actually provide cyber amps to beef up your crew and give them some benefits when using these ships, like targeting systems and stuff like that. And that is pretty much the initial gameplay loop of the Watchtower creation. From here on out, you can focus on that gameplay loop and build up your fleet. This also allows you to go and do other things in the game, so you're not just fully focused on this one thing. There is more in this Watchtower storyline though, so once you complete the In Their Footsteps mission in the main questline, this is actually going to open up a new quest from Torn. If you travel to another system, you should be approached by a courier at this point, and then also you can talk to Torin to maybe jumpstart that. From here on out, these are like standard quest missions with some surprises. It's all good stuff, and I won't lay anything out specifically, but you might see some clips here and there in the next section as I talk about some pros and cons. I think my main takeaway with Watchtower is that this is definitely worth the purchase. There are some caveats, like I mentioned earlier, with like ship combat. If that's really not your thing at all, the emphasis is still very much on that. But you won't be totally locked out of getting things like computer cores if you don't want to engage that much with the ship stuff. For me, shipbuilding and ship combat in the main game, I always found it alluring, but I just didn't really engage with it all that much. This creation though made me pay more attention to the upgrades I was making on my ships and the ones in my fleet. There are some like annoyances I would say with this mod, one of which is the arrays. Kind of hard sometimes to see which one is a minor array, which one's a major. Sometimes I ended up going to a major array by accident. If you target 60 FPS on the Xbox Series X, space combat can struggle a little bit. It's understandable because there's so much going on your screen, especially if you have like 4 or 5 fleet ships. Whenever you loaded a save, it seemed like for me this mission updated thing would always pop up. If you had major arrays left to do, there would be a long list, rather than just like Watchtower major arrays. The other thing that was mildly annoying but not a huge deal was the fact that you can't really tell who's assigned to what. Unless you go back into your own ship and look at your crew, you can see where everybody's assigned. You just won't be able to see that at the Fleet Command Terminal. You can just randomly assign people. But with that annoyance, there are some generic crew that you can pick up, because as you upgrade the Stardock base, as you progress through that story, more vendors and things start to show up here, which is really cool as kind of like a hub. So in a way, you kind of have this limitless supply of crew that will show up that you're able to assign. You just gotta keep track of the names and where they go. Another quality of life feature that I really like were these contraband chests that are actually around the Stardock. This was great because you were always going to go back to Stardock to, let's say, give some intel to Harper or talk to Gren or whoever. And since some of the things like Watchtower components, for example, are marked as contraband, that isn't really something that you'd want to have on your ship when going to a settled system. So I would usually put some of those things in the chest, and then eventually when you upgraded the star dock enough, there'd be the trade authority that would show up. So if you had a ton of extra, you could just sell it there. All in all, I had a ton of fun with this one. I was about at 15 hours when I started the last leg of this. There's plenty of challenge with this one as well, and I had gone through the Unity twice already, so it was even harder. And once you get through with the main storyline, if there's still some arrays around, you can still go and do those. Watchtower's just not going to attack you directly. Next thing I want to tackle after all those arrays, going through the Unity, I want to see how everything plays out once I do that. And that is going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you picked up Watchtower or have used any other Kinggath Creation mods, whether it's from Fallout or Skyrim, let me know in the comments down below, or if you plan on picking this one up. A bit longer of a video, but I wanted to go through as much as possible without going too long. If you made it to the end, drop a comment and say Watchtower cool. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.